What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. I'm Michigan Sports Talk here. In this one, we got some transfer portal news as we talk about a potential wide receiver addition from Youngstown State. Go over why that would be huge for depth. We also talk about Moran Walker as Michigan is favored to get him back. And we also talk about the players that Michigan have lost to the transfer portal and why the coaching staff did a phenomenal job in not losing major players as the transfer portal has closed. Plus, a 4-star running back has chose Kentucky over Michigan, and we also go over a 5-star cornerback committed elsewhere, but Michigan pushing hard as he recently just took a visit. We also go over other recruits in the Michigan coaching staff out on the recruiting trail recruiting. It's all going to be in this video and more, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so the first thing I wanted to talk about in this video is some transfer portal targets for Michigan. Now, we have mentioned Moran Walker already in the past, but another receiver that Michigan is going after is CJ Charleston from Youngstown State, as he announced on Twitter a couple days ago that Michigan has offered him, and it appears that Michigan is trending towards landing him. Now, he is a 6 foot, 190 pound wide receiver. He's actually born in the state of Ohio. Now, he's not that bigger bodied type of receiver that Michigan is looking for. It appears right now that Moran Walker could fill that need for Michigan potentially, but CJ Charleston, he did redshirt his freshman year in 2019 at Youngstown State. He also did miss the 2022 season because of an injury, but he is coming off of his most productive season from last season. Started in 13 games, had 33 receptions, 503 yards, and 4 touchdowns. The previous other 3 seasons that he played at Youngstown State, he did get 100 plus yards. However, this past season was definitely his most productive season. But Sam Webb of the Michigan Insider has actually already put in a crystal ball prediction for Michigan to land him. I believe he will be a graduate transfer. Now, looking at his highlights, I could see Michigan using him kind of like the role that AJ Henning played in while he was here at Michigan, but nonetheless, it'll just be a guy, that adds to the wide receiver depth. Right now, Michigan has just 7 wide receivers on scholarship out of senior Peyton O'Leary, junior Tyler Morris, sophomores Kendrick Bell, Frederick Moore, and Samaj Morgan, and then freshman Channing Goodwin and Amarion Stewart. Offensive coordinator Kirk Campbell did say that he hopes to boost the numbers and add depth. He said, I think we've got some explosive guys, and obviously I think it's a top-loaded room, but we need to get some guys to help out there. He said, you look at the roster depth, you need enough guys. Hamstring injuries are going to happen, quad injuries, so we just got to make sure we have enough guys to field the roster. Let me know what you guys think about CJ Charleston from Youngstown State. Michigan has brought in an FCS transfer wide receiver before out of Dalen Baldwin from Jackson State. He played in the 2021 season for Michigan, and in that year he caught 17 passes for 256 yards and 2 touchdowns. This would be another FCS wide receiver transfer for Michigan, just adding to that depth, and wouldn't be a bad addition for the Wolverines. Now, while we're talking about wide receiver, obviously Michigan, they did lose Moran Walker to the transfer portal as he transferred to Ole Miss back in January. However, he is back in the transfer portal, and Michigan is the favorite to land him right now. He's 6'3", 180 pounds, was a sophomore last year, but Michigan, they obviously recruited him as a receiver. They actually stole him from Notre Dame on signing day, I remember. So yes, Michigan does need that bigger bodied type of receiver. He's also a very lengthy player, but he could potentially be playing a dual role, as he could be a receiver if they need one, also a defensive back if they need one. So we'll see how Michigan uses him, but he did switch from receiver to defensive back last season for Michigan because they did need depth in the defensive back room. So he could definitely play both positions. Michigan right now maybe could most benefit him in the defensive back room, but we'll just see how they will choose to use him if indeed they do get him back. And while we're on the subject of the transfer portal, Michigan has also lost a few players to the transfer portal. Not really any major losses except for maybe one or two, but the portal window has officially closed as it closes on May 1st, and it is May 1st, so it is closed. And Michigan, they lost receivers Jake Thaw, Iman Dennis, both graduates, senior Christian Dixon, junior Darius Clemens, which was probably one of the biggest losses, and also sophomore Carmelo English. For tight ends, they lost Matthew Hibner and Josh Beetham, and they also lost sophomore guard Amir Hurring on the offensive line. For the defensive line, they lost Reese Adberry. They also lost 3 linebackers. Most recently was sophomore linebacker Hayden Moore. Yesterday, he entered the transfer portal, and they also lost sophomore linebacker Samaj Bridgman and also freshman linebacker Jeremiah Beasley, which was a pretty surprising one. As far as defensive backs, another big one was the safety Keon Sabb, which was probably the biggest loss that they had, as with Rod Moore's injury now, he probably could have, been in the mix to start next season. And then also sophomore cornerback DJ Waller was expected to compete for the number 2 cornerback job. However, it appears that Jair Hill, that spot right now, appears to be all his. But Jaden McBurrows is also in the mix as well. And obviously, Moran Walker did enter the transfer portal, but he is back in the transfer portal after transferring to Ole Miss, and it appears Michigan should be able to get him back. Let me know what you guys think about all that. Obviously, was not the mass exodus that rival fans was expecting to happen, but really Michigan did a phenomenal job of keeping almost all their important players and not really losing some big time players except for Keon Sabb and maybe Darius Clemens. And with that whole coaching staff change and everything that went on, give huge props to Sharon Moore, this coaching staff, for keeping all these players, especially with schools tampering them, offering them loads of money. So then I did want to talk about some recruiting news for Michigan football. Start with the bad news, as Michigan has lost out on the 2025 4-star running back Marquise Davis. It was announced today that he committed to Kentucky, which was a very puzzling and surprise to many people. Michigan had 2 crystal ball predictions going in their favor that were both put in on April 23rd. So very surprising. It's obviously, tough to see that happen. He was a Cleveland, Ohio running back from Cleveland Heights High School. We'll see if Michigan, can potentially flip him later on. Before National Signing Day. It does make you wonder why he would choose Kentucky over Michigan, but Kentucky, they have recently been stealing some recruits to Michigan or from Michigan, but I do feel like, NIL potentially played a big role in his decision, because again, otherwise I don't know why he would choose Kentucky over Michigan. But Michigan's still going after a couple other talented running backs, one of which we'll talk about in the 2026 class. But first, I did want to talk about a 2025 4-star cornerback, Terrian Grant. Now he's listed as a 5-star on On3 rankings, but he's a top 100 recruit, one of the best cornerbacks in the class. Right now he's committed to Purdue, but Michigan is still going after him, and defensive backs coach Lamar Morgan has been in pursuit. Now, he told Zach Libby of the Wolverine that I'm still 100% locked in with my decision, but he said there's still a lot of places I haven't seen yet, so I'm just going to open up and take my visits there. And he recently just visited Michigan over the weekend. He did say that, Samerstill just got drafted. They have some ballers at DB. It would be crazy. Me on one side, Will Johnson on the other. I think I would fit good in the defense. Obviously, Will Johnson most likely will be gone entering the NFL draft before he gets to Michigan, but Michigan going after Terrian Grant right now. And I wanted to talk about the 2026 4-star running back and top 100 recruit Savion Haider, ranked 33rd nationally on 24/7 Sports composite rankings from Woodbury Forest, Virginia. He recently just took a visit to Michigan. He told Bryce Merritt of the Michigan Insider that it was better than I expected. Getting to have conversations with Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum were the highlight, but the whole staff was so welcoming and the campus was really nice. And they also told him that the team is like a brotherhood and Michigan is different than anywhere else. So Michigan is no doubt a big player for Savion Haider in the 2026 class. One of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the 2026 class. The Michigan staff is out recruiting right now. They even stopped by to see Michael Carroll, who is the 2025 4-star offensive line target for Michigan. They stopped by to see him. It was a lot of the coaching staff It was Kurt Campbell, Ron Bellamy, Grant Newsome, Tony Elford, and Steve Kasula. Almost the whole offensive staff there to see him, and I'm sure we'll stop by to see other recruits. So they're out recruiting on the recruiting trail right now. But with that, that's going to wrap up today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure you guys go ahead, drop a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more if you're new around here. I greatly appreciate it. But other than that, we will see you guys in the next video. Go Blue.